Hey, this is sort of a private video, but I'm going to post it publicly anyway for anybody who wants to see it. I'm going to be talking about chords, how to get better at playing the chords, getting a good solid rhythm, and just kind of developing your hands to play music. We're just going to cover chord music a little bit briefly as far as sheet music, the ways that you might find the music written out so you can kind of decode the songs that you want to play. The first thing that you're going to see is a chord chart, which is like this. May not make a lot of sense as it is graphically, but I'll just break down how this works in terms of frets and stuff. I'll probably post something in the video so you can see some real examples, but essentially this is a diagram of the frets like this, and each one of these lines going down corresponds to one of the strings going right there. So this would be this heaviest string right here. This over here would be the lightest string, and of course all the strings in between there. Now this isn't to scale because obviously the frets are much bigger than these lines. They're not evenly spaced, but basically the idea is wherever you see a dot, that is where you're going to fret the note. So let me see how this looks on the video there. Okay, so if we were going to decode this, we would kind of start with whatever we can. I should get a music stand here for this. So we're going to decode this. Basically, we're looking at the strings like this, and we want to put our fingers wherever there is a dot. And so the first one up there, second string down, third fret, it's going to look like that. The next one is just kind of diagonally down over from it, second fret. And then that last one there is going to be the first fret on that string right there. So if you can sort of see how the diagram matches the fingering there, that's basically what a chord chart is. It's very graphic. It just kind of represents the neck, and you can pretty much represent any chord like this. Let me throw on another chord real quick. A lot of the chords that you run into are going to be very, very similar, so you won't have to spend a lot of time decoding these shapes. You know, you'll just sort of get them under your belt and then be able to use them. Let me show you another chord, which is very similar to the first one in that all of the notes are similar except for this one. That one switches, used to be up there, now it's down over there. If you can see the difference there. Anyway, probably a little bit more than we need to cover on that, but that's basically what a chord diagram is. A couple other things to note. There's a little X over this string. That just means that you don't play that string, or you don't have to. I mean, you can kind of play a lot of notes, but whenever you see the X on a chord diagram, that kind of means, you know, it's not included with the note there. Notice that these chords both go down here. If we're going to do more advanced chords that say that up here somewhere, right, we would have sort of a similar diagram, but off to the side it would have like 5, 7, or some kind of fret that goes with it. So with that, you can kind of get a good sense of where all the shapes are going to be, because you can get chord charts, you can, you know, see chord charts. I mean, you can find the chords for the songs that you want to play. You'll be able to find all that without any problem. And that is how you're going to see a lot of chords written out. A lot of songs use a lot of the same chords. A lot of the chords have sort of the same shapes. Once you get a few chords down, you'll start to get the groove of it. So now I'm going to cover tablature very briefly, and then we'll get into actually how we can play the chords and have fun with them. Tablature it's not as graphic, but it's a little bit nicer, sort of, because it almost reflects what you're looking at when you're looking at the guitar, because it reflects your view of the strings. For example, when you're looking at it right there, this would be the top string of the guitar, the heaviest one, and this would be the lightest string on the bottom, just because graphically when you're looking at it, this is what you see. You see the guitar, you see it upside down. So I can almost flip the camera, but I'm not going to do that. But let's say that I'm reading this and it matches my perspective, and this is how you would see the guitar, this is how you would see the tablature. So that first bit of it right there, the 0, 1, 3, would be open string, first fret, third fret. the next one, the O, 1, 2, would be like an open 1 and 2. I know it's not very comfortable to look at, but that's basically what it is. You know, you're just putting out numbers on the actual frets. So literally anything that you could play on the guitar could be broken down into tablature. And that can be cool sometimes if you find the tablature for a song that you like and you just start finding where the frets are. I mean, there's only 6 strings, there's only so many frets, and there's only so many numbers. There's a lot of symbols and stuff. I wouldn't worry about those for now. Just as long as you know how those things line up and where to find them on the guitar, you should be able to pick your way through the chord charts and the tablature without too much trouble. So, what chords look like in tablature, like we were playing single melodies, if we were playing single melodies, they would just kind of be written out per note, per fret, and then you would decode them. Chords would actually kind of be written stacked vertically like that if you were going to see them in tablature. And you just look for some tablature and read it up. I mean, you'll find stuff. So these chords right here, if you look at the strings, not very easy to show this right there, but if you take a look at the strings, I don't know if you can read that there, but the second one down is, on this right there, is 3, and the next one is a 2, the next one is O, which is 0 or open, and the next one is a 1, right there, which is actually that chord shape that we had before. So tablature versus the chord charts, essentially what we have is, in tablature we have the 6 strings running like this. In chord charts, we kind of have the 6 strings running like this. And now actually, if we look at this chord chart, this starts to make maybe a little bit more sense, because you see we got 6 strings, we got a 3rd fret, 2nd fret, open string, nothing there, and then a 1 there for the 1st fret. So, ooh, gosh, you can't even see those. I'll probably scan these or else just type them in or something. But anyway, that's chords in tablature or charts. Before you can really get into chords and have fun with them, you're going to have a good sense of rhythm and be able to play these chords. And developing that is a whole other topic, but I'm going to cover 3 things with you that will improve anything that you're playing and make a lot of this stuff much more easy to digest. Because really, once you decode a chord chart and you know where a chord is, that's about maybe 1% of it. The rest of it is getting comfortable playing that chord and stuff like that. Because I could show you a couple of chords and then you don't have to decode anything. Once you understand what those chords are, being able to play them is going to be a whole different thing. So I'm going to cover 3 different things with you that are going to help you be able to play any chords, and I'll show you some basic shapes that will apply to a lot of chords that you're going to encounter, that you can work on, and then later when you start playing more stuff, they'll come to help you. So first of all, most important thing you can do is get comfortable holding the guitar and just being rhythmic and musical in general. And by that, what I mean is, you like to tap your foot, you listen to music, you hear a beat, you hear a rhythm, just get comfortable moving, because when you're playing the guitar, you're moving, you got to use your breath, you got to use your body, you have to be in sync, and the more comfortable and relaxed you are with that, the easier it is to play music. It's really difficult to play if you're stiff and uncomfortable and you can't relax. So what I would suggest is, even when you're not playing, especially when you're not playing, if you're just watching TV or something like that, any time that you have any idle time where you're not doing anything, have the guitar close by and just pick it up and just hold it and just be used to having it. Think of it like shoes. If you only wore shoes for 5 minutes a day, you wouldn't be able to walk. It would be very uncomfortable. So when you only pick up the guitar when you're playing music, you're not really getting the full perspective. Just get used to holding the guitar. Pick up the guitar, hold it as often as possible, get as comfortable as possible, and that is one of the best things that you can do for your playing. Because what's going to happen is, when you get in the habit of holding the guitar, you're going to get used to moving around with it, and then playing little, not rhythms or anything, but just kind of moving with motion and rhythm. And that has to be sort of an unconscious thing. It's like tapping your foot. You know, if you can kind of ingrain this, make it a nervous habit. Pick up your guitar and just kind of fiddle with it. So once you get used to holding the guitar, just hold it as often as possible. Sooner or later, you're going to start wanting to hit it and stuff like that. So here's where it gets really fun. This is sort of like push-ups. You know, I can show you to do a push-up, and you could learn how to do one. It's not complicated, but it's something you have to do every day. And even people that are in shape still do push-ups and exercises and stuff like that. That's what makes them in shape. So going back to the shoe analogy, if you wore shoes for 5 minutes a day, it would suck. You'd be terrible. But if you wore shoes all day and you ran and jogged and did all this stuff, well, you could be like an athlete, you know. So get comfortable just holding the guitar and start doing little things. Don't make noise, because you'll kill your parents with that. But just start getting used to holding the guitar and just strumming basic beats. And I don't have any recommendations for what kinds of stuff that you would do, because whatever you do, it's going to be you. You're going to pick up the guitar, you're going to feel good, you're going to play stuff, and just get used to doing that. I got a little drum around here. I'm not going to show it now, but I got a little drum I can play lots, you know, beats on and stuff. Think of your guitar as a percussive instrument. Don't even worry about chords, just hold on to the neck. Get used to this, because anything you play, you're going to need that groove. So that's the first two things. Hold the guitar, just get used to holding it. And since you're in the process of holding it a lot, just kind of start using it as a rhythm instrument. You know, get used to that. The third thing is going to be not really any particular chords. You can do this with any chord, actually, but I'm going to show it to you with a couple of chord shapes. This is when you've got freedom to make some noise. People aren't around so much, you can do this stuff. And I'm just going to grab a pick here. And let's say you're used to holding the guitar, you're playing the stuff, you've learned some chords, maybe you've decoded some chord charts or diagrams, and you have a couple of chords. Maybe you like the chords, you like the way they sound, or they go in a song that you like or that you want to learn. You're going to run into problems mechanically. And there are so many different chords and so many different configurations. They're all based upon the same sort of shapes. I'm just going to show you some mechanical stuff that will get your hands athletically in shape to play these different things. So first of all, one of the most common things you are going to see in anything is two notes stacked right over each other, like that. Like you see it in this A minor chord, which you'll run into eventually. Let's not worry about anything but just these two notes. Make your like devil horn symbol. Just take those two fingers, put them right down there, 2nd fret, 2 middle strings. And that is going to be your chord shape to have fun with. So first of all, you can practice your rhythms with it. Second of all, it's very movable. Let's say we take this, you can go from there, from the 2nd, and we can just follow the dots. 5th fret, 7th fret, 9th, and then 12th up here. So if you just wanted to play something that was sort of musical and practice your strumming, take this bit. You can do all kinds of stuff with just those two fingers there. It's not really a song or anything, but it's just something to kind of get you comfortable playing and moving things around. So you don't even have to change the chord shape, you just have to get used to moving your arm around. As far as the rhythms you might play, I mean, I could tell you some stuff like just strum some, 4 beats and do whatever. Just spend some time holding the guitar and playing some rhythms. You will eventually start to come up with some. If you just kind of get in the groove playing along with the radio, or just kind of thinking about different grooves, it will eventually come out. So once you have those basic rhythms going and you throw this little movable chord on there, you can spend some time just kind of messing around with that and getting comfortable with the idea. So the sliding chords, not so bad, because you're kind of moving your arm, you got the same shape. The biggest problem you're going to run into is these complicated chords, like your F and your D or whatever. And the problem that everybody runs into at first is when you're decoding the chord charts and stuff, you tend to just kind of put one finger down at a time. And that's fine when you're learning the chords, because you got to learn where all these things are. Eventually, though, you want to switch back and forth between them, and you can't really do that. So what you have to develop is sort of a monkey grip where everything comes down at once. And there's a very simple way to develop that. I'll show you. Take any chord, and in that case, we're going to take a D. Funny, all these chords fit to, use the same shapes. If you take this D and you drop it down there and add a pinky, you get a D minor, I'm sorry, B minor 7 with a flat 5, which you don't have to worry about. But I'm just going to use that for the sake of argument. Now let's say I position all my fingers there one at a time. It's taken me a while. I've got a good grip on it, and now I can play this chord. However, if I'm going to try to change in or out, it's hell. So what I want to do is I just want to get good at swapping chords. So what I'm going to do is once I have this chord down, when I'm watching TV or something like that, don't do this when you're thinking about it. Just do it when you're doing something else. Just hold that chord and then just kind of release the tension enough so the strings are muted, and then you don't even have to do it rhythmically. Just kind of, I'm holding it and it's all muted. Push in all at once. It's kind of, fingers are relaxed and grip everything. So you can do fun rhythmic stuff like that, but really the point is you want to get all your fingers to squeeze at the same time. And I would recommend, like I said, do this when you're watching TV. Don't spend a lot of time really thinking about it. Just kind of pick a chord that you're going to watch a TV show like Family Guy or whatever. Just pick a chord that you're going to play with during that show and just kind of make that your chord for that half hour. So anyway, once you got that shape and it's there, just practice release and grip, release and grip, release, grip, release and grip. And after a while, you will be able to lift your fingers further and further away and have them all return at the same time. It's kind of like, tapping your fingers down. They all come down, but you kind of got to lock in that shape. Now here's the bonus, is that a lot of these shapes are very similar, so once you train your hands to, those two chords are almost the same thing, exactly. Once you train your hands to clamp down like that, you're going to be able to do this all over the fretboard, eventually. And as an example, I'm going to take this first chord, that I was showing you with the sliding stuff, and apply that to it. So now that's kind of a little bit more advanced example, but you see I'm just getting my hands to clamp down all at once there. So grip and release, and eventually your hands will just start knocking those chords down all at once. So that's basically it for reading the chord charts in the tablature and kind of getting a groove and a rhythm. I would really recommend that you learn some songs, as in, like, pick some songs that you like and find the chords for them, and spend as long as it takes to actually learn those songs really well. Whatever you gain from that is going to apply to the next songs that you learn. The first couple of songs I learned were Country Roads by John Denver and, Lion Eyes by the Eagles. And I remember those chords still. They were terrible. I even learned the song Feelings, which you don't know and you never will, which is fine. Those songs were terrible, but they taught me these basic chords. So pick a few songs, pick some chords, get through those songs, get through those chord changes, and then you can start playing some much cooler stuff. And I'll follow this up with whatever that you need to get to the next step, and we'll talk soon. Cool.